I am so honored to be a part of the very first Hall of Fame induction ceremony presented by the Nicole and David Tepper Foundation. I would like to congratulate the inductees for outstanding careers, jobs well done. They earn every bit of the recognition that they're receiving. I was kind of daydreaming when he started the introduction. I didn't really know who he was talking about. I was hearing some very nice things about somebody until he called my name. Then I recognized the fact that some of the numbers were somewhat embellished. I've always been one to round things up, and knowing time you normally round things up by half a point. You know, if it's 0.5, you round it up to the next point, where I round mine up to 25%. And so some of my numbers might not be quite accurate. And I've learned some of the times when we play close games and the referee made bad calls, I put those in the win column for FSU. So some of my numbers might be a little off, but I will say this. Those things that I was able to accomplish would not have had an opportunity to be so had it not been for the opportunity that I had to attend Gaston Community College. I am so grateful and thankful for the opportunity they gave me. They had a very nurturing atmosphere, the small classrooms, great communication with the faculty as well as the administration. It was an extremely positive experience for me. They were so helpful. The atmosphere was so helpful that anytime you needed additional help from your instructors or from the school, they were always giving you a helping hand. I enjoyed that experience so very, very much. If I had 10,000 tongues, I couldn't say thank you enough for all the recognition, all the opportunities, all the great fun that I had attending Gaston Community College. Every accomplishment, every award, whatever success I've had, all started for me at Gaston Community College. Nobody in America benefited more from the junior college experience than Leonard Hamilton. I hope that I don't become so emotional doing this presentation that I don't break down because of all the fond memories that I had attending Gaston Community College. It meant so very much for me, and I just am just so appreciative through the experience that I had. I've always felt that I've had a hedge of protection around me. Whenever I tried to make poor decisions, it always seemed like I had that guiding hand, that big hand in the sky that always seemed to guide me back into the right decision to be made. And as a child, I remember as a fourth grader, I was appointed assistant crossing guard for kids to go into school every day. They gave me a badge and they gave me a belt. It made me feel like I had some responsibility. But one morning, the policeman didn't show. Now, and all I remember is that he had a badge and he had a belt. So I felt the fact that he was not there, I needed to assume his responsibility. Now, mind you, I'm in the fourth grade. So one of the kids came up to the crossing. I'm on a 4-lane highway. He walked out in the middle of the highway and he stopped the traffic and allowed students to walk across. So as a fourth grader, there I was standing out in the middle of the highway with my hand up just like the police did. And I couldn't understand why the Big Mack truck had so much problem slowing down. And so finally, in about 35 or 40 minutes, the principal came down and saw a fourth grader standing out in the middle of the 4-lane highway stopping traffic so one or two students could come across. That's the big hand in the sky taking care of me, because I wonder what would have happened had that Big Mack truck had not stopped. As a child, I was very courageous. I had a tremendous amount of confidence, and I was a risk taker. And riding my bicycle across the 4-lane highway, not stopping with cars coming, was a little experience. Once again, I've always felt that I've had this hedge of protection around me. And I'm making the point is that I was a week away from joining the Army. I was supposed to enlist and go to the Army. But at the same time, as fate would have it, that Gaston College decided to have a basketball program. And they hired a guy named Pete Brooks, graduate of Stetson University. He was a very charismatic, a very aggressive, confident guy. And that he is riding around through the community in Gastonia looking for Leonard Hamilton. Well, a white guy riding into our neighborhood looking for a young black guy brings a lot of suspicion. So I was concerned as to why would he be looking for me? And so there were times that I would actually be in houses that doors he would knock on, and I would not go to the door and tell them that I was not available, that they didn't know where I was. Once again, here I was trying to join the Army. Now, think about this. The Army, Vietnam, and Gaston Community College. Come on. As fate would have it, Coach Brooks found me. And he convinced me that I probably should go to Gaston Community College to get my education. That would open up more doors for me. But that's, once again, that's that big hand in the sky giving me direction. Neither did I know that was the greatest opportunity that I almost didn't take. Going to school, getting my education was so very important. My mother went to the 7th grade, my father went to the 9th grade. All they talked about was the ceiling that they were under. They did not have an opportunity to progress in life and get promotions because of the lack of education. My father always complained that he was training people with college degrees that do their job, but he could never get any recognition for it because of lack of education. So education meant so very much to me, but he said this one thing: we don't have any money to contribute to you getting your education, so you have to figure out how you're going to do that yourself. Well, the Army to me was an opportunity for me to use the GI Bill once I once I left the Army. I would be able to have the GI Bill to pay for my education. But that's not what the plans was in store for me. Going to college, it was the greatest experience that I could have ever had. It saved my life. It gave me meaning. It gave me direction. It gave me a purpose, and an opportunity to go and get my education at a school that was starting a basketball program. But more than anything else, the life experiences, the relationships that I had, that I formed, and that was in 1966. And we were right in the beginning of integration, but we were still basically segregated. So there I was now, like a lot of the white guys, we were on a team. Now, that's wonderful. Don't you wish our society was more like a team, where you learn to share the ball, where you learn to play unselfish, where you learn to create, where you practice, you have successes, you have failures, you win games, you lose games, you travel together, you have so many positive experiences that you get by going and playing basketball in a community college situation. So it was all positive for me. Those were moments, those were experiences that I shared going to community college, relationships that still we hold today, one of the greatest experiences in my life. The bonding experiences, the brotherhood that's formed is just tremendous when you're on a team playing basketball. But if you also notice the fans, they support whoever is on their team. They don't really care who score. They want to cheer and support you when you win. And you win together and you lose together. And you would like to think, though, that Team DC America would be more like a basketball team or a junior college sports team, where everybody shares the ball, everybody shares playing time, everyone encourages one another, that there's no jealousy, that the main thing is for us all to win. You know, we feel that during your junior college experiences, sure you have some challenges, sure you have some obstacles you have to overcome, but the experience of going in a community college and sharing those experiences, even on campus, in your work studies, in your preparation for classes, is such a great experience for people who need to go that route. Now, there are a lot of great students, a lot of guys who are not necessarily need to go to community college, but the community college system has served so well for so many people for so long. You ought to be congratulated for doing such a great job. Okay. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Before I make a couple of points, and then I'm going to go to my seat. As I read through the bios of the inductees, I was amazed at the similarities in their journeys. I'd just like to point out just a couple of points that I think that we need to make ourselves aware of, and I'm sure they will be discussed a lot more in detail as the presenters come forth and talk about their journey. Larry Brown, for instance, he graduated from high school in 1966. Obviously, he went to Dodge City community college in '66, and I know what his experiences must have been like. He went on to Kansas State and played for them in '67, '68. But during that time, that was right at the beginning of integration, and I'm sure there were challenges because I went through the same one myself. George Killian, a pioneer within his own right, promoting women in sports. Dick Night Train Lane, wow. He graduated from high school in 1947, and he went to junior college there in Nebraska for 1 year. So which says to me that was not a very good experience, and he left after 1 year and joined the Army. So you wonder why, what was the adjustments. After he got out of the Army, he had to try out for the NFL and had a great NFL career. I remember watching him on TV, Dick Night Train Lane, and he would be intercepting those passes and running down the field. I enjoyed watching him. Bob McAdoo, pioneer. He opened up a lot of doors for other African Americans to go to the ACC schools. I had left and had moved on. I was at Austin Peay when he was playing. I was so impressed with him because at that day and time, the ACC was not recruiting a lot of junior college student athletes, but he opened up the doors and made it fashionable. And you can't say enough about Dean Smith for being courageous during those times to bring African American kids into the ACC. John Mitchell, one of the first African American players to play at Alabama back in those days. Miss Parkiski, hope I didn't mess that up. Pioneer, had her hand on just about everything that was going on from the Olympics to organizations. She was a pioneer. She was creative. She was organized. She was thorough. And Cheryl Smith Swoops. I remember watching her for years and her being successful. But she committed to Texas, and I think she might have been there for a while, and then she had to end up going back. I believe it was South Plains Community College after an attempt to go to Texas. Now, I don't know exactly why that didn't work out, but her going to a community college, and it solved all her issues that she was in. And then she transferred to Texas Tech, and God knows, when you look at her career, after she left Texas Tech, history. She's one of the greatest female players of all time. You take your hat off to the inductees. They all were pioneers. They all went through challenges, and they deserve the honor and the recognition that they're getting. In closing, I would like to make 2 points, and then I will get out of your hair. Junior college has done such a great job educating so many of us, and I include myself in that. And they have met the needs of the students in what you call junior college or community college, and it was more for the community. They have met so many of the needs, but the needs now have changed. Times have changed, and now the challenges are more social and behavior. And I would like to challenge the junior college system to consider taking that next step, dealing more specifically with the issues that we are faced with today in our society from a sociological standpoint and from a behavior standpoint. When I'm talking about sex education, drug education, I'm talking about self-esteem issues, conflict resolutions, opportunities for us to get involved with dealing with why we have more diet-related illnesses than just about anyone, and as you relate to cancer, even though cancer is somewhat hereditary, but you have a large portion of that is because of what we eat and how we conduct ourselves. Obesity, every 7 to 8 seconds, you have attempts. Young people are attempting suicide. You have nearly 7,000 alcohol-related accidents a year that could be eliminated. You have bullying going on, gun violence. 50% of all marriages end in divorce. The acceptance issue, anxiety issues. We have so many issues that are facing our youth today, our young people, between the ages of 15 and 24. I would like to challenge the junior college system to be a pioneer, to be at the forefront of trying to address some of the systemic issues that we are having. They're not going away. I think I challenge you in the junior college system to do more research, to try to come to some conclusion as to why we're dealing with all these issues that now that they seem to be growing more and more and more. The mass shootings that we're dealing with now, the gun violence, the drug overdose issues we have, the issues that we have with just getting along. So I just think that there's a lot more work to be done, and I would love for the junior colleges to come together and start wanting to be at the forefront. Someone has to address these issues. We've done a great job with reading, writing, and arithmetic. Now I think we have to step up now and address some of the issues that our society is facing that seem to be creating more problems than anything right now. I also would like to challenge the junior college system to start doing more research on how we're going to deal with the racial issues that we seem to be facing now in our society. Why and how do we dislike someone that we don't really know? How did we get to this point? Obviously, we didn't get here overnight, and it's not going to be a quick fix. We're not going to overcome it overnight. But we have to start somewhere. None of us are born with hatred, dislike, and disrespect. You don't come into the world with anger and decisions that cause you to disrespect and not want to be associated with one another. You know, I think that we're all on America's team. I just think that we're on a team together, that we need to learn to play together. We need to learn more like sports, more like when you are training and conditioning, and know how we eat together, we practice together, we play together. Somewhere along that we can't continue on the road that we're going. I mean, we need to educate ourselves more. We need to have more classes to deal with conflict resolution. How do we relate to people who don't look like us? How do we get along with people of the opposite sex? How do we learn to respect people from other cultures? How are we going to address this? And it appears to me that the best way to address it is through our education system and have conversation where we talk about it, where we evaluate it, and that we do research to find out how people think and why they think the way they do and where the influences are coming from, and see whether or not we can come up with a way to deal with this. Obviously, we can't leave it up to our politicians. I mean, that goes for itself, and I don't want to cross that line and from a conversation standpoint. But you know, we can put people on the moon, but we can't figure out how to get along. To me, that just does not make very much sense to me. So I'm challenging the already well-established junior college system. Has been so great for all of us. From an athletic standpoint, we can't be getting any better. From a reading, writing, arithmetic, we just taking care of business like no other. But I think the social and behavior issues now need somebody to step up and say that we're going to attack this and we're going to come up with a solution. And I think that the best group of people that have done such an outstanding job over the years is the junior college and the community college system. I want to thank you very much for giving me an opportunity to be a part of this induction ceremony. I feel honored to be a part of it, and I can speak for myself. The junior college system has meant so much to me and my family, and everything that I have been able to do, all the accomplishments that I've made over the years, I owe to the start that I got from Gaston Community College. Thank you very much.